Hey guys, welcome back to another do-it-yourself episode. Today I'm going to be changing the oil in a 2007 Tahoe with a 5.3 liter V8. This exact oil change will work on many of these types of trucks: Silverado, Suburban, GMC Yukon, Yukon XL, Denali, Cadillac Escalades. I'm going to go ahead and put notation of all the cars that this oil change would also work on, as far as filter location and all of that. Alright, now here what I did is I bought a super synthetic Mobile 1. The brand doesn't really matter, and synthetic, if you've been using it, it's smart to do it. Most of these trucks require synthetic, so I like to get a good one. Brand does not matter. What you really have to pay attention to is the weight. The weight has to stay the same. If you change the weight, you can have serious oil pressure issues. And then of course I like to use the factory oil filter, which in this case happens to be an ASE Certifications PF48E. Hey, so we're definitely gonna have to start with getting the oil dipstick tube out and taking off the oil filter cap. This way the engine has a way to breathe and collect air from the top as the oil drains, and it's the best way to make sure that all the oil is out of the car. Also, it doesn't hurt to have the car at least a little warm, and makes the oil run way faster out of the car, and it also guarantees you get most of it out. However, you could do without it. Now that's just about all we gotta do at the top of the car. So the rest is gonna happen at the bottom of the car. Now, as you can see, you have a lot of ground clearance, so you may not have to lift up the car. But if you do need to lift up the car, remember to use the proper lifting procedures. You may want to reference my lifting the cars with a jack, floor jack video. Alright guys, at this point you want to make sure that your drain plug and drain are aligned. Make sure your cap is off, of course. Set that aside. And I already checked. This particular drain plug uses a 13mm. So just slap that on there. Move this guy out the way for a bit. Crack it open. There you go. Start introducing it out a little bit. And at this point, it's crucial that you align the drain. Alright, so now you got a better view of the drain plug. You break it loose with your wrench, then lefty loosey, righty tighty. Make sure your drain plug and drain are aligned. Make sure you put the drain as far to the right as possible, because as soon as this drain comes out, a big stream of oil is going to come out. And if the car is hot, it's going to come out hot, so be very careful. So at this point, what I do is I start to spin the bolt and moving my hand, because I don't like getting all over me. Sometimes I just push it inwards. You see it already start dripping out. That means it's loose. And it's completely out. Now I gotta just move it quickly. Oh, not yet. There you go. And as you can see, you got a big stream of oil coming out. Alright, once you see that it starts to drizzle at that point, I'm gonna move over the drain like so, because now we gotta take off the filter, which is right there. Make sure, of course, that before you come down here that you have all the tools you need, because if not, you will be coming in and out a whole lot. Alright, now you're going to grab your pliers and grab a bite. Make sure you squeeze so that it kind of dents into the oil filter and just break it loose. It only really takes one time with the wrench or pliers, and it'll break the seal. It'll start leaking immediately, and then you just spin. Now this is the part where you have to be careful, because the more you loosen it, the further the oil comes out, and if the oil is hot, you will get burned. In this case it's not, so I can just grab it with my hand. I don't mind getting dirty, been doing this for too many years to be worried about that. And unscrew it until it falls into my hand. Big mess. Fantastic. Alright, once you get the filter off, it's important to make sure that the seal is not stuck on here. Sometimes they have a tendency of sticking, and then when you put the new oil filter on, you get double seals, and as soon as you turn the car on, you get oil spewing everywhere. So just make sure that the rubber seal is not here and you have a nice smooth finish. Okay, so at this point we're gonna grab our new filter and put it on, but as you can see, this black seal, it comes very dry, so I like to get some of the dirty oil that's leaking around there and just make sure I wet that seal just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to go buy extra oil, none of that. It's just so that you moisturize it so that when you go to seal, it seals tightly. Slap it back on. Now, you do not want to use your oil wrench to tighten this, because you can crush the tin and damage the filter. So just grab a clean or dirty or used toilet paper. No, don't use used toilet paper, that's kind of disgusting. But you can just grab a dirty rag and use it to dry up your filter, one, and to turn it a little tighter. Alright, and that's good right there. If you do have the socket type oil filter socket that fits this filter, then you can simply just use it to tighten it. Just be careful to not over tighten it. You are using a ratchet that has leverage, so you could over tighten it, and it won't take a lot to over tighten it. That's why I prefer doing it by hand, because as this thing heats up, it gets tighter and tighter. So now, of course, there's your drain plug. Got to put that back in. Here you go. It's important that you try to put it in by hand. Don't use any electrical tools or power tools to put this in place. If it came out very rough and very hard, I suggest replacing it. Remember that you have to do an oil change every 3,000 miles. And you don't want to struggle every single time. So if it's in bad shape, just change it. This one's in perfect shape, so I put it back in. Grab my 13mm wrench again, and this one you do want to make sure that you tightened. You could find the torque specifications. I don't think it's that crucial. I just like to make sure it's hand tight, or a little more than hand tight. If you leave it loose, it will leak right there, so it's good to grab to tighten it the way you're supposed to, of course. Tighten it hard, and make sure you clean up the area so that you don't dirty up your pavement and your wife doesn't yell at you. I love my wife. Okay, so we're done down there. It's time to come up here. Very simple stuff to do now. All we have to do now is fill the engine up. It's very important that you put the filter on and tighten up that drain plug before you come up here and fill up the engine with oil, because if not, it'll just drain right out. Now you say, yeah, that's common sense, but ends up being that common sense ain't so common. So letting you guys know. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab your funnel, right?
Any funnel will do. You don't need anything fancy, anything special. This is probably $1 funnel that I bought at my local parts store. Now, this truck takes 5.5 quarts up to 6 quarts. So what I do is I put in half, measure half if I need more. That's about half. Grab my dipstick. Keep it in there for a few seconds. Let the dipstick get nice and wet. Pull it out. And see, well, we gotta clean it first time. Clean that up. And right there it says that we're good. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to crank the car up and let it idle for a good minute. Then shut it off and recheck the level, because sometimes it just needs to circulate through the engine to make sure that you have the correct level. Once you've ran the car for a few minutes, you can check the level again. And more than likely you're going to be about half a quart low, and you can go ahead and top it off with that. Okay, so let's start this puppy up and check that oil level to make sure we are on point. Few seconds, hood is open, you don't sigh, and that'll be good. Shut it off. Now let's check that oil level. The first one you need to ignore. Always wipe clean, put it back in. And let's give it another shot. Now, as you can see, the oil is marking to the 4th hole. I am about maybe 1/8 of a quart low. I'll go ahead and top it off, and we are good to go. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. Change the oil, put 6 quarts in total, started up the car, made sure my oil pressure was good by looking at the gauge, made sure that the oil level was good by checking it. I also looked under the car to make sure that there was no oil dripping from anywhere, and that's it. Ready to go for another 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Now the factory says 5, but that doesn't work for me. I need to do 3, which is fine. Till the next one. See you guys later.
To subscribe right over here and check out these other videos.